Today's video is about how to use Q&A to do your reporting and do queries about your fixed asset register. The assumption is that you've done a lot of work in Q&A already, and this is just sort of to get you started in the asset register, doing reports and summaries and expanding and drill downs and all into your assets. Before we go too far, I want to point out to you in our new financial statements, or they're not so new anymore, we have very nice reports already that answer many of the auditor's questions on your fixed assets. So for example, this one for the current year, it takes the cost, the accumulated depreciation, and the net book value and the depreciation expense for each of your types of assets for the current year and for the previous year. Another report here does the changes. So it takes your cost at the beginning of the year, additions, deletions, and gives you at the end of the year, and the same for your accumulated depreciation. Beginning of the year, additions and deletions for your ending accumulated depreciation. A lot of people are anxious to get these types of reports. They're in the new financial statements. You need to get going on those, and there's a whole series of videos on how to use them. Now all of these numbers are all drill downable. You can drill down on it, specify, and I want to see the asset code and the asset code name that makes up that number. So I'm here, I just click the beginning balance here on buildings, let's say, what makes up that number. So I'll drill down, specify, and I'll come down, and we haven't ever used this in any video before, but you can see right here, the fixed asset register is right here under this AR, and we can open that baby up. And that is a little bit poorly laid out, because here is the asset code that I want, and then that description of the asset is right here. So they've stuck these three things in here, which belong under fixed asset register, but they shouldn't have stuck them right here. I think they did it because it's alphabetical or something. It really should have asset code and description right there beside each other. So we go like this, and there are the assets that make up the number. And so that's pretty sharp. Let me close the financial statements, and let's just come up and do a little report here to demonstrate working with fixed assets. I could probably put in my labels in a minute, but I think you'll get the idea. Here is the cost of the asset, and this is the accumulated depreciation of the asset, and then we have the book value. We'll draw a line under there, just a little project. You'll see what we're doing in just a second. It'll come right to you. I'm going to take all of the cost right here for all of the fixed assets, and so this is going to be a summary link. This is going to be cool. We'll take the ledger and the account code, and let's take all of our fixed asset accounts, not the 9. So let's go 201 to 208 ZZZ. We stopped short of picking up the accumulated depreciation accounts. Okay, so this is just picking up the main asset account. Let's go 1844001, and we want this report as of 2014. Okay, we're getting this ready, let's say, for the auditor, and we have base amount. This is going to be quick. I know you're wondering, what in the world is he doing here? All right, let's format it there, and then I'm going to copy this one just because I'm a little bit on the lazy side, and we'll paste it, and we're going to change the account on this one so it's picking up the accumulated depreciation account, all the accumulated depreciation account. Let's see if this works. Okay, so we've got this here, and then the book value is that. And remember, the accumulated depreciation is going to be a credit balance. It's going to be a negative figure there. I think I'm going to come over here, take this, double click that, and reverse the sign. Okay, now to get my book value, I have to go and subtract C7 minus E7, because C is a positive number, D is going to be a positive number, but we've got to subtract a D from C to get the book value. Okay, so we'll extract it. Now I could have done this for just a certain one, for just for equipment or just for all the vehicles, but I did all the fixed assets. Whenever you are doing a calculation, you have got to hit enter, and it locks down that equation. It's beautiful. All right, so now I'm going to take this and expand it, specify, and I want to expand it by the asset code and the description. I think you see which way this baby's going to head. So let me just show you other things that we have under here. So for example, I have all these notes that I could be putting out into a report. I could get a report of my presets. Right here are all my presets. So I might want to report to see, have I got all my presets set up right? Like I said, don't let this poor structure here confuse you. These are not headings of this stuff below. They are interlopers that have jumped in between. The main level is asset code, description, lookup code, and all this. And then these are subgroups of the notes and the presets, which are also interesting thing to put out into a report. Maybe we'll do that in a second. So I go, okay. Here are all of my assets listed. Here you could see I have some assets that do not have a code, which would be alarming, and I would have to investigate why in the world I do not have an asset code on those assets. You could drill down on that and find out. If you really want to do something cool, then we'll take all of these assets, if you don't have too many of them, and we're going to expand again, specify the period. It's a lot of work that is doing there. Here we have the purchase of the asset coming in, and then all of its depreciation that's been recorded each month. And so it gets you nice, tidy reports about that. The focus of that sheet, the sheet that we just did, was sort of to give you a report on what's depreciated, as if you're preparing something to give the auditor. But you can also do things to see and manage your assets if they've been set up correctly. So let's just go down here and define criteria. And I'm going to do a summary report. It's in the ledger, account code, and I can do this for all of my asset accounts, 201 to 208. Accounting period is from 1844. Remember, anytime you're working with a balance sheet account, you start with 1844 and you go to the period you want your balance to be. And you could do something like this. Let's go and do a listing of my assets, the asset code, the description of the asset, the preset, what was the resources being charged, that would be the function for you 5-4 folks, the fund, is it been set up correctly, and the function and the restriction. You then 5-4 would just do fund, function, restriction, but 6 people need to do resource, fund, function, and restriction. And then we may want to know something else about the asset. You can check to see if we have set this baby up correctly. So it lists all of our assets, the description of the asset, what resource the depreciation is being charged to, fund, function, and remember in 6, the function is the department using the asset according to the accounting manual, and the restriction. We could do an asset listing for the department. We'd do a summary report, table, ledger, asset code, fixed asset, 200 to 208. Accounting period, since it's an asset, we've got to start with 1844, and we go to 2014012. And now we have down here under our fixed asset, we want to put out the code, the description, and then we're going to come down here and we have the department that has the asset and the location. And to make this thing interesting, let's move the department to the beginning and let's see what we get. So this should list the department that is holding the asset, the number of the asset and its description, and then the identified location. And so now we're able to talk about doing a fixed asset inventory of going to find all of our stuff. This is the department that's responsible. This is the name of the assets that they are holding and the location of where the assets are supposed to be. So that gives you at least enough to get started in thinking about using Q&A in the fixed asset arena. This is the last of our videos on fixed assets, and I've enjoyed making them. I appreciate your loyalty and watching. I know sometimes they get a little bit long. If you have another topic in fixed assets and you'd like another video on fixed asset covering another aspect, I'll be happy to do it. And if you want a video on anything, let us know and we will try our best to make it. We appreciate you being a loyal SunPlus users, and we want to do everything we possibly can to be helpful to you. So just let us know. Go to our Yammer site, join Yammer, and join in the conversation there, especially in the area of talking about videos you'd like to see or topics you'd like training on. So thanks a lot. See you next time.